The massive crystalline hall of the Galactic Council stretched endlessly upward, its transparent walls showing the swirling nebula and distant stars beyond. Thousands of representatives from across the galaxy filled the chamber, their forms ranging from towering energy beings to tiny crystalline creatures floating in special environment bubbles. The air hummed with translations in hundreds of languages as Elder Jaiho made his way to the central speaking platform. Jaiho's weathered gray skin and ceremonial silver robes caught the starlight as he moved. Despite his advanced age of over 300 years, he carried himself with quiet dignity. The 4 secondary eyes along his temple ridges swept the chamber, taking in the gathered assembly. As one of the oldest members of the council's inner circle, his words usually commanded respect. Today, however, he could already sense the dismissive attitudes of many delegates. The holoprojector activated at his mental command, filling the air above with images of Earth, a beautiful blue-green world that seemed unremarkable at first glance. Honorable representatives, Jaiho began, his translator converting his words into the standard galactic languages. I come before you today with grave concerns about species 7249, known locally as humans. A ripple of amusement passed through the chamber. Several delegates exchanged knowing looks or made gestures of dismissal with their various appendages. Jaiho had expected this reaction, but it still pained him to see such carelessness from those who should know better. The images shifted to show various human conflicts throughout history, from ancient battles with primitive weapons to their more recent wars. In just 10,000 years, they have gone from stone tools to splitting atoms. Their rate of technological advancement exceeds any species we have encountered. The hologram displayed scenes of human resilience, people rebuilding cities after disasters, surviving in extreme environments, and overcoming seemingly impossible odds. High Counselor Ta, one of the Kraxan Federation, rose from his seat, his crystalline form catching the light. The Kraxans were one of the most powerful military forces in the galaxy, and their dismissal of any threat assessment carried significant weight. Elder Jaiho, he said, his tone dripping with condescension, while we respect your protective instincts, these humans have barely managed to reach their own moon. They fight among themselves with primitive projectile weapons. They haven't even achieved basic gravity manipulation. More laughter rippled through the chamber. Jaiho remained steady, though his secondary eyes darkened with concern, a sign of deep worry in his species. It is not their current technology that concerns me, he countered, bringing up new images. Look at their adaptation rate, their response to challenges, their ability to learn from failure instead of being defeated by it. The hologram showed humans surviving plane crashes, enduring months lost at sea, recovering from devastating injuries. They routinely survive conditions that would kill most species. Their bodies can adapt to almost any environment. Their minds can solve problems in ways our predictive algorithms fail to anticipate. Sung Min, the ancient Zoraxian representative and Jaiho's longtime friend, watched from her position in the upper tier. Her own secondary eyes had darkened upon seeing the evidence. Unlike the others, she recognized the patterns Jaiho was highlighting. The same patterns that had preceded the rise of other dangerous species in the galaxy's history. They are fractured, divided. Another delegate called out. They waste resources fighting among themselves. That makes them more dangerous, not less, Jaiho insisted. Each conflict drives innovation. Each war spawns new technologies. They advance fastest when under threat. He brought up their entertainment media. Stories of humans fighting against overwhelming odds, facing alien invasions, surviving apocalyptic scenarios. Even their imagination focuses on overcoming superior forces. They prepare for threats they haven't even encountered. Taiwan made a gesture of dismissal with his upper crystals. A primitive species with delusions of grandeur. They will be easily controlled when the time comes. Your concerns are noted, Elder Jaiho, but hardly worthy of council attention. The vote was quick and decisive. No action would be taken. No special monitoring would be implemented. The humans would be treated like any other pre-FTL civilization, left alone until they either achieved faster-than-light travel or destroyed themselves. As the chamber began to empty, some men approached Jiho at the speaking platform. "They do not understand," she said softly, her secondary eyes as dark as his own. "They see only the technology, not the spirit behind it." Jiho nodded slowly, watching the last images of Earth fade from the hologram. "The humans have a saying," he replied. "Those who fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it." He turned to his old friend, all 6 of his eyes now dark with worry. "And we, my dear Sungmin, are about to repeat history on a scale the galaxy hasn't seen in 50,000 years." They both knew what happened to empires that underestimated rising powers. They had seen it before. But the Council, in its arrogance, had forgotten those lessons. As Jiho and Sungmin left the chamber, they could already feel the weight of the coming storm. The warning had been given, and it had been ignored. Now all they could do was prepare for the inevitable consequences of that ignorance. The stars outside seemed to dim, as if they too sensed the approaching change. Humanity would not remain confined to their world forever. And when they emerged into the galactic community, the species that had dismissed them would learn, far too late, why Elder Jiho's warning should have been heeded. The deep silence of space beyond Neptune's orbit was broken by the gentle hum of the HSS Pioneer's engines. The exploration vessel's sensors picked up unusual energy readings that didn't match any known natural phenomena. Captain Haynewell stood on the bridge, her steady gaze fixed on the main viewscreen as data streamed across it. "Contact confirmed," Lieutenant Park reported from his station, his fingers dancing across the holographic controls. "Multiple artificial structures detected in the Kuiper Belt. They appear to be mining operations." The bridge crew fell silent. After centuries of searching for alien life, humanity's first contact was about to happen in their own solar system. Haynewell took a deep breath, maintaining her composure even as her heart raced. Years of training had prepared her for this moment, but nothing could truly ready someone for humanity's first encounter with alien intelligence. "Full sensor sweep," she ordered calmly. "Passive scans only. Let's not appear threatening." The crew worked with precise efficiency, their movements betraying their excitement despite their professional demeanor. The sensors revealed massive crystalline structures that seemed to grow out of the asteroids themselves. They pulsed with an inner light that defied human understanding of physics. As they watched, 3 ships emerged from behind a larger asteroid. They were beautiful and terrifying. Their hulls made of the same crystalline material as the mining stations, but shaped into graceful forms that seemed impossible in space. "They're huge," whispered Communications Officer Lee. The alien vessels dwarfed the Pioneer, each one at least 5 times their size. Their crystalline surfaces reflected the distant sunlight in rainbow patterns that would have been mesmerizing if they weren't so intimidating. Haynewell straightened her uniform. "Open all standard frequencies for communication. Let's introduce ourselves properly." She had barely finished speaking when their communication system activated on its own. A deep, resonating voice filled the bridge. "This is Commander Du Young of the Kraxan Fleet. You have entered a restricted sector. Your species is not authorized for deep space travel." The translation came through clearly, though there was an odd harmonic quality to the voice that made it clear it wasn't human. Haynewell responded with practiced diplomacy. "This is Captain Haynewell of the Earth vessel Pioneer. We were unaware of any restrictions in our own solar system. We come in peace and wish to establish diplomatic relations." She could hear the dismissal in Commander Do Young's response. "Your system was marked for preliminary resource extraction 50 of your years ago. Return to your inner system immediately. Further advancement into deep space must be approved by the Galactic Council." While maintaining the diplomatic conversation, Haynewell discreetly activated her neural link to the ship's secondary systems. The Pioneer might have appeared primitive to the Kraxans, but its true capabilities were carefully hidden. Beneath its conventional exterior, experimental quantum sensors were mapping every detail of the alien vessels. "We apologize for any intrusion," Haynul replied smoothly. "However, as this is our home system, we would appreciate discussing shared resource rights and establishing proper diplomatic channels." As she spoke, encrypted data packets were being compressed and sent back to Earth through quantum entanglement communicators, technology the aliens clearly didn't expect humans to possess. The scans revealed fascinating details about the Kraxan ships. Their crystalline hulls weren't just for show. They were living technology, growing and adapting like organic creatures. But like all living things, they had vulnerabilities. The Pioneer's advanced sensors detected energy nodes, structural weak points, and patterns in their shield harmonics. In her private quarters later, Haynul recorded her report for the Earth Defense Council. "First contact has been made," she began, her voice steady but intense. "The aliens, who call themselves the Kraxans, are technologically advanced but dangerously arrogant. They view us as primitives and expect complete compliance with their demands." She transmitted detailed scans along with her report. "Their technology is impressive, but not invincible. We've identified several critical vulnerabilities in their ship designs. Most importantly, they've dramatically underestimated us. They see our visible technology and assume it represents our limits. They haven't detected our quantum sensors, our entanglement communicators, or our advanced scanning capabilities." Looking out her viewport at the crystalline ships still monitoring them, Haynul felt a mixture of wonder and concern. "They intend to restrict our development and exploit our system's resources. Based on their behavior, I believe conflict is inevitable. We should prepare accordingly, but maintain peaceful appearances for now. Let them continue to underestimate us. It may be our greatest advantage." As the Pioneer began its apparent retreat toward the inner solar system, Haynul watched the alien ships on her private monitor. The Kraxans had no idea that their first interaction with humanity had revealed more about them than they had learned about Earth. Their dismissive attitude might have seemed justified given their advanced technology, but they had failed to notice something crucial: the quiet determination in the humans' eyes, the same look that had preceded every major advancement in human history. The stars seemed to shine a little differently now, knowing they were not alone among them. But as Haynul prepared for the long journey home, she couldn't help but wonder if the aliens would learn their mistake before it was too late. History had shown time, and again what happened when advanced civilizations underestimated those they considered primitive. Now that lesson was about to play out on a galactic scale. The red surface of Mars loomed large in the viewport of Deimos Station as Lieutenant Ga reviewed the tactical displays. 3 massive Kraxan warships had taken up position near the station, their crystalline hulls gleaming in the pale sunlight. They had arrived without warning, announcing their intention to establish a protective oversight of human colonies. "This is your final warning." Admiral Du Young's voice echoed through the station's communications. "Accept Kraxan protection or face immediate military response. Your primitive defenses cannot hope to resist us." Jia exchanged glances with her squadron leaders on the secure channel. While the Kraxans' postures and threatened, they remained unaware that every moment of delay worked in humanity's favor. For 6 months since first contact, Earth's best engineers had been studying the scans from the Pioneer incident, reverse engineering, and improving upon the alien technology. "Admiral," Jia responded respectfully, "we'll need time to consult with Earth regarding your demands." Her fingers quietly activated the squadron's launch sequence. In their docking bays, 12 Corvette-class ships hummed to life, their systems masked by the station's power signature. The Kraxan admiral's tone carried clear disdain. "You have 1 Earth hour to comply. Any military response will be met with overwhelming force." As soon as the communication ended, Jia switched to the secure channel. "All pilots, execute Plan Delta. Remember your training. They think they know our capabilities. Let's show them how wrong they are." The corvettes launched simultaneously, but instead of moving in traditional attack formations, they scattered in seemingly random directions. The Kraxan ships tracked them with visible amusement, their weapons remaining powered down. To them, the human vessels appeared to be fleeing in panic. GA's voice remained steady as she gave orders. Squadron 1, begin slingshot sequence. Squadron 2, prepare gravitational overlay. Squadron 3, stand by for shield harmonics. The Kraxan ships suddenly detected multiple high-speed objects approaching from various directions. The human corvettes had used Mars moons for complex gravitational slingshot maneuvers, achieving speeds that should have been impossible for their level of technology. Impossible. Admiral Du Young's shock was clear even through the translator. Their neural systems shouldn't be capable of such precision. But what truly stunned the Kraxans was what happened next. As their ships fired warning shots, the human vessels didn't evade. Instead, they absorbed the energy through shields that seemed remarkably similar to Kraxan technology, but somehow more efficient. All ships, execute maneuver Theta. GA commanded. The corvettes moved in perfect synchronization, their enhanced shields harmonizing to create interference patterns in the Kraxans' defensive systems. The alien warships' shields flickered unexpectedly. Their crystalline hulls resonated with frequencies they weren't designed to handle. The humans hadn't just copied their technology. They'd improved it, finding weaknesses the Kraxans hadn't even known existed. This is a violation of galactic law. Du Young thundered. Your species is not authorized to possess this level of technology. JA's response was calm but carried an edge of steel. Admiral, we are defending our sovereign territory using our own technological developments. If you check your records, you'll find no laws against a species advancing through their own efforts. The Kraxan ships attempted to regroup, but the human corvettes had already split their formation. Using the complex gravitational fields between Mars and its moons, they executed maneuvers that the Kraxans' tactical computers insisted were mathematically impossible. How are they calculating these trajectories? One of the Kraxan officers demanded. Their computers aren't advanced enough. What the Kraxans didn't realize was that the humans weren't relying solely on computers. Months of secret training had combined human intuition with advanced technology, creating a hybrid approach that no purely logical system could predict. As the battle continued, JA's squadron demonstrated capability after capability that the Kraxans had deemed impossible for primitive humans. Their shields adapted and strengthened under fire. Their maneuvers became increasingly complex. Their coordination showed a level of tactical thinking that left the Kraxan commanders stunned. Finally, Admiral Du Young gave the order to withdraw. The massive warships retreated to a safe distance, their crystalline hulls showing signs of stress from the unexpected engagement. In the aftermath, JA recorded her report for Earth Command. The Kraxans have withdrawn for now, but they'll be back. Their biggest weakness isn't their technology, it's their assumptions about us. They thought they knew our limits, and that blindness gave us the advantage we needed. As she looked out at Mars' rusty surface, GA knew this was just the beginning. The Kraxans would return with more ships, more advanced weapons, and wounded pride. But humanity would be ready. They had proven they could not only match alien technology but improve upon it. The coming conflict would show the galaxy exactly why underestimating humans was a dangerous mistake. The incident at Deimos Station marked a turning point. The Kraxans had arrived expecting to find primitive beings they could easily dominate. Instead, they had discovered that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology. It was their ability to adapt, improve, and overcome any challenge placed before them. The galaxy was about to learn a lesson about human potential and the price of ignoring warnings about Earth's remarkable inhabitants. The massive Kraxan war fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the solar system, their crystalline ships casting rainbow reflections across space. Fleet Admiral Tadwan stood on his command deck, surveying the tactical displays with satisfaction. 200 warships, the largest fleet deployment in 50 years, had come to teach humanity its place in the galactic order. Preliminary scans complete, Admiral, his sensor officer reported, detecting numerous human vessels, mostly concentrated around their inner planets. Primitive weapons signatures present. Taiwan allowed himself a small gesture of amusement. Send the standard surrender demand. Give them 1 hour to submit to Kraxan authority. He expected a quick capitulation. No developing species had ever resisted a full fleet deployment. The response came not in words, but in action. The human ships didn't retreat to Earth as expected. Instead, they scattered in all directions, many heading deeper into the asteroid belt or toward the outer planets. Mining vessels and cargo ships moved alongside military craft, all of them breaking formation in what seemed like chaos. "Sir," his tactical officer called out, "we're detecting unusual energy signatures from the civilian ships. They appear to be arming themselves." Before Taiwan could respond, the first attack came. A group of converted mining vessels emerged from behind a cluster of asteroids, their industrial cutting beams modified into weapons that sliced through Kraxan shields with unexpected effectiveness. 3 Kraxan ships suffered significant damage before they could react. "Impossible," Taiwan snarled. "Those are civilian mining tools." But the humans had done the impossible. They'd analyzed Kraxan shield harmonics and found that mining lasers, modified to the right frequency, could penetrate them more effectively than military weapons. The fleet pushed forward, only to face more surprises. Cargo containers ejected from human transport ships turned out to be missile platforms. Maintenance drones swarmed larger vessels, attaching devices that disrupted their crystalline hull frequencies. Every civilian ship was a potential threat, using modified industrial equipment in ways the Kraxans had never considered. "They're not following any known combat doctrine," the tactical officer reported, his voice trained. "Each group seems to be fighting independently, but somehow maintaining coordination." Taiwan watched in growing horror as his mighty fleet was picked apart by what should have been easy prey. The humans used their system's geography masterfully. Gas giant gravity. Wells became navigational traps. Asteroid fields turned into killing grounds, and even space debris was weaponized against the invaders. A huge explosion rocked his flagship. "Report," he demanded. "Sir, they've turned an ice mining station into a mass driver. They're accelerating ice chunks to relativistic speeds." The elegant Kraxan battle formation began to break apart as ships took evasive action. But the humans had predicted this too. Small, fast corvettes emerged from hiding, striking at exposed flanks with precision attacks before disappearing again into the chaos of space. "This isn't warfare," Taiwan muttered. "This is savagery." But he was wrong. It wasn't savagery, it was adaptation. Every human, whether military or civilian, had become part of their defense. Their ships might have been technologically inferior, but their tactics were unprecedented. His communications officer interrupted his thoughts. "Sir, we're detecting thousands of new signals. They're launching something from Earth." The tactical display lit up as a swarm of small objects rose from Earth's surface. They were practically primitive. Chemical rockets carrying simple payloads, but there were thousands of them. And they were aimed not at the Kraxan ships, but at carefully calculated points in space. "Ignore them," Taiwan ordered. "Focus on the real threats." That was his final mistake. The rockets detonated in sequence, creating a cascade of electromagnetic pulses that played havoc with the Kraxans' sensitive crystalline technology. Ships that had easily shrugged off direct hits now found their systems disrupted by the carefully planned interference pattern. "Full retreat," Taiwan finally ordered, but it was too late. His fleet had been scattered, drawn into dozens of small engagements where superior Kraxan technology meant little against human ingenuity and determination. As his damaged flagship limped away from Earth, Taiwan remembered Elder Jaiho's warning to the Council. He understood now what the Elder had seen. Not just a developing species, but one that thought differently, fought differently, and turned everything into a potential weapon. The humans hadn't just prepared for war, they had transformed their entire society for it. Every civilian was a potential combatant, every industrial tool a possible weapon, every piece of space debris a potential ambush point. They hadn't tried to match Kraxan military might. They had changed the nature of space combat itself. In his private quarters, Ta-1 recorded his report to the Council. "We severely underestimated the humans," he admitted. "They don't fight like any species we've encountered. Their entire system has become a weapon. Conventional military action against them is inadvisable." As the remaining Kraxan ships retreated, the humans didn't pursue. They didn't need to. They had demonstrated something far more powerful than military might. They had shown the galaxy that technological superiority meant nothing against the human capacity for adaptation and innovation. The stars seemed different now, each one potentially hiding another human surprise. Tai-1 finally understood why Elder Jaiho's eyes had darkened with worry. The humans weren't just another species to be conquered. They were something new, something that didn't play by the galaxy's rules. And now the galaxy would have to adapt to them. The United Earth Defense Command Center bustled with activity deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. Director Min-Ki stood before the Global War Room's massive holographic display, watching as thousands of data points tracked both human and Kraxan fleet movements across the solar system. Another attack repelled at Jupiter's L4 point. A tactical officer reported. Mining Colony 7 successfully used the new gravity sling defense. Kraxan losses: 3 capital ships. Min-Ki nodded, his expression focused but calm. Just 6 months ago, such a victory would have seemed impossible. But humanity had done what it always did under extreme pressure. It had adapted, evolved, and overcome. "Show me the latest innovations from the civilian sector," he requested. The display shifted to showcase dozens of modifications being made to everyday equipment. Construction workers had turned their plasma welders into makeshift weapons. Farmers had modified their atmospheric processors into shield disruptors. Every human profession had found ways to contribute to the war effort. In orbit above Earth, the makeshift defense fleet demonstrated this innovation in action. Cargo ships now carried hidden weapon systems. Space tugs used their magnetic grapples as weapons. Even tourist vessels had been converted into fast attack craft, their life support systems optimized for extended combat operations. "Director," his assistant called out, "we have a live feed from the Ganymede front." The main screen switched to show a battle in progress. Human ships, heavily outnumbered, were executing maneuvers that defied conventional space combat tactics. They fought for days without rest, their crews pushing human endurance to its limits. On the Kraxan flagship, analyst Yun Seo stared at her tactical displays in disbelief. "High Command, this defies all known combat protocols," she reported. "The humans, they're not sleeping. Their ships have been engaged in continuous combat for over 72 hours. The Kraxan commanders watched in growing concern as human crews demonstrated capabilities that should have been impossible. Where other species would retreat to rest and regroup, the humans kept fighting. They used stimulants, rotating crew shifts, and sheer determination to maintain constant pressure on Kraxan forces. Back in the Earth Command Center, Min-Ki reviewed the latest tactical innovations. "Show me the new defense grid," he ordered. The display revealed a complex network of automated systems, civilian vessels, and military installations. It looked chaotic, but there was a deadly efficiency to its apparent disorder. "The Kraxans expect us to fight like they do," Min-Ki explained to his staff. "They expect rest periods, conventional tactics, predictable responses. We're showing them something different. We're showing them humanity." Reports flooded in from across the solar system. A civilian mining crew had discovered how to use their equipment to disrupt Kraxan sensor systems. A group of orbital construction workers had developed a new method of using space debris as weapons. Each hour brought new innovations, new tactics, new ways of fighting that the Kraxans couldn't predict. "They're not just adapting their technology," Yun Seo reported to her superiors. "They're creating entirely new combat doctrines daily. Every defeat teaches them. Every setback makes them stronger." The Kraxan High Command struggled to understand what they were facing. Their strategic AI systems, designed to predict enemy tactics, failed completely when dealing with humans. The humans didn't follow logical patterns. They didn't break under pressure. They excelled in it. In a secured conference room, Min-Ki met with his global advisory team. The Kraxans thought this would be a simple punishment operation, he said, studying the latest battle reports. They didn't understand what happens when humanity faces extinction. We don't give up. We don't follow rules. We change the game entirely. The displays showed the latest example: civilian space stations transforming into fortress platforms, their ordinary functions turned into military advantages. Medical bays became repair facilities. Hydroponics gardens were modified to produce combat stimulants. Every human facility, every piece of technology, every skill was being repurposed for survival. Director, a junior officer interrupted. The Kraxans are pulling back from the Saturn perimeter. Our mining fleet's new tactics. They worked. The enemy couldn't counter them. Min-Ki allowed himself a small smile. This was humanity's true strength, not superior technology or numbers, but the ability to adapt, to think differently, to turn desperation into innovation. The Kraxans had expected to find a primitive species fighting with crude weapons. Instead, they found an entire civilization that transformed itself into a war machine, where every civilian was a potential soldier and every tool a possible weapon. In her final report to Kraxan High Command, analyst Yunseo wrote words that would shake the galactic community. The humans don't just fight wars, they evolve through them. Every engagement makes them stronger, smarter, more innovative. They're not following our rules of warfare because they're creating their own. And they're teaching these new methods to every human, soldier or civilian. We're not fighting an army. We're fighting an entire species that thrives on the very pressure we're putting them under. The stars watched silently as humanity demonstrated why they had survived every challenge their harsh world had thrown at them. The Kraxans had brought superior technology and conventional military might. Humanity had responded with innovation, adaptation, and a determination that transformed their entire civilization into something the galaxy had never seen before. Space around Saturn blazed with weapon fire as the combined Talaxian and Marexi fleets joined the Kraxan assault force. The massive alien armada dwarfed anything humanity had faced before. 3 of the galaxy's most powerful civilizations had united with a single purpose: to stop the human threat before it grew too powerful. High Commander Vax of the Talaxian fleet watched with satisfaction as his ships moved into attack formation. The humans have exhausted themselves fighting the Kraxans, he declared to his allies. Our combined might will finally end their resistance. But as the coalition forces advanced toward the inner solar system, they encountered something unexpected. The seemingly primitive human ships now carried weapons and defenses that looked eerily familiar, but somehow different, improved. Impossible. A Marexi captain shouted as his flagship's shields collapsed under human fire. They're using our own technology against us. The humans hadn't just copied alien weapons. They had studied them, understood them, and enhanced them in ways their original creators hadn't thought possible. Deep in Zoraxian space, Elder Jai-Ho watched the battles unfold through quantum observers. His secondary eyes had turned almost black with concern. They still don't understand, he murmured to Admiral Sungmin, who stood beside him. Even now, they cannot see what makes humans truly dangerous. The coalition fleet pressed forward, expecting to overwhelm Earth's defenses through sheer numbers. Instead, they found their own technologies being used against them in ways they never imagined. Human ships combined Kraxan shield harmonics with Talaxian weapon frequencies, creating devastating new attack patterns. They adapted Marexi stealth systems to hide entire battle groups in plain sight. How are they doing this? Demanded the Marexi war leader. It took us centuries to develop these technologies. But the humans had done it in months, driven by necessity, and their unique ability to think beyond conventional limitations. In a massive space battle near Mars, the Coalition forces discovered just how far humanity had come. Human ships demonstrated mastery of technologies that their creators had thought impossible to improve upon. They combined different alien systems in ways that created entirely new capabilities. Enough, Elder Jaiho declared, watching another Coalition fleet fall into chaos. Sungmin, deploy the Zoraxian fleet, not against the humans, to protect them. Admiral Sungmin's massive Zoraxian battleships emerged from hyperspace between the Coalition forces and Earth. Their ancient but powerful vessels took up defensive positions around the human fleet. "This is Admiral Sungmin of the Zoraxian Defense Force." Her voice resonated across all frequencies. "We warned you about humanity. Now you understand why. Stand down, or face the consequences of your actions." The Coalition commanders were stunned. The Zoraxians were among the oldest and most respected civilizations in the galaxy. Their intervention changed everything. "The humans are dangerous," protested the Talaxian commander. "They've stolen our technology, corrupted it." "No," Sungmin interrupted. "They've improved it. They've seen possibilities you never imagined. That's what makes them unique, their ability to take ideas and transform them into something new." As if to prove her point, a group of human ships executed a complex maneuver that combined technologies from all three Coalition species in a way that should have been impossible. The resulting attack disabled an entire squadron without destroying a single ship. "Look at them." Elder Jaiho's voice joined the transmission. "In less than a year, they've mastered technologies that took you centuries to develop. But you still don't see their true strength. It's not their ability to copy, it's their ability to innovate, to see patterns you've missed, to imagine possibilities you never considered." The Coalition forces hesitated, caught between their fear of humanity and their respect for the Zoraxians. In that moment of uncertainty, humanity demonstrated once again why they had survived everything the universe had thrown at them. A new type of energy pulse rippled out from the human fleet, something never seen before in the galaxy. It didn't damage or destroy. Instead, it temporarily disabled every weapon system it touched, leaving ships helpless but intact. "That," Sungmin declared, "is why we're protecting them. They don't just fight. They create. They don't just survive. They evolve. And given the choice between having them as enemies or allies, we choose allies." The Coalition commanders watched in amazement as human ships moved among their disabled vessels, not to destroy them, but to offer assistance. It was the final demonstration of why humanity was different. They could be both warriors and peacekeepers, destroyers and creators. "We warned you," Sungmin repeated, but this time her voice carried a note of hope. "Now you have a choice. Continue this futile war, or accept that humanity has earned its place among the stars." One by one, the Coalition commanders stood down. They had come expecting to crush a primitive species. Instead, they had found something unprecedented, a civilization that could take the best technologies of the galaxy and transform them into something greater. As the Coalition fleet retreated, Elder Jaiho turned his dark eyes toward Earth. "They will be great allies," he said softly, "if we have the wisdom to accept them as equals." The stars seemed to shine brighter as humanity proved itself worthy of its place in the galaxy. They had done more than survive. They had shown the galaxy a new way forward, where innovation and adaptation mattered more than tradition and power. The Coalition of the Concerned had become a coalition of the convinced, and the galaxy would never be the same. The crystalline walls of the Galactic Council chamber seemed to pulse with renewed energy as thousands of representatives gathered for what would become a historic moment. The same hall that had once dismissed humanity's potential now prepared to formally recognize Earth as a major galactic power. Captain Hay Newell, wearing her formal Earth defense uniform, stood before the assembly. Her presence commanded attention not through size or alien features, but through the quiet confidence that had come to characterize humanity's representatives. Beside her, Elder Jaiho's secondary eyes had lightened to a shade of peace and satisfaction. The Sol Accords, High Counselor Ta-1 announced, his crystalline form somehow less imposing than before, will establish new protocols for evaluating emerging civilizations. No longer will we judge species solely by their current technology level, but by their potential for growth and innovation. The assembled delegates murmured in agreement. The human conflict had changed everything. Species that had once looked down on primitive civilizations now watched them carefully, looking for signs of the same adaptive potential that humanity had demonstrated. Humanity has shown us something remarkable. Jiho addressed the council. Not just the ability to survive, but to transform adversity into advancement. They took our worst efforts to suppress them and turned them into opportunities for growth. The holographic displays showed scenes from the recent conflict. Human ships combining different alien technologies in innovative ways, civilian vessels becoming effective military units, and perhaps most importantly, the moment when humanity chose peace over vengeance when they had the upper hand. My fellow representatives, Haynul spoke, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber's perfect acoustics. Earth does not come before you seeking revenge or demanding reparations. We come offering partnership. What we learned from this conflict is not just how to fight, but how different species can complement each other's strengths. She gestured to the displays, which now showed human engineers working alongside Kraxan scientists, improving technologies that both species had thought perfected. Another image revealed human medical techniques being adapted to help other species, while alien knowledge enhanced Earth's healing capabilities. Perhaps next time, she continued, looking directly at Elder Jiho with a warm smile, when a species warns you about another, you'll listen more carefully. Not out of fear, but out of wisdom and the recognition that different does not mean inferior. The council chamber erupted in agreement. The Sol Accords were more than just a peace treaty. They represented a fundamental shift in how the galaxy's civilizations viewed each other. Humanity had proven that technological advancement wasn't the only measure of a species' worth. Later, in his private chambers, Jiho sat down to record his final thoughts on the events that had reshaped galactic society. His memoirs would be read by future generations trying to understand this pivotal moment in history. We didn't just discover a new species, he wrote, his words carrying the weight of profound understanding. We awakened a force that will reshape our galaxy. The humans have already begun to influence how other races think, adapt, and innovate. They've shown us that the greatest strength isn't in having advanced technology, but in having the vision to see how it could be better. He paused, watching Earth's light shine among the stars visible from his window. The question now is, are we ready for what humanity will become? They've proven themselves not just survivors or warriors, but creators and innovators. Their influence spreads not through conquest, but through ideas and possibilities. The new galactic order was already taking shape. Species that had once competed now collaborated, inspired by humanity's example. The Kraxans had opened their technological databases to other civilizations, recognizing that sharing knowledge led to greater innovations than hoarding it. The Talaxians and Merexe had established cultural exchange programs with Earth, eager to understand the human way of thinking. In the Council archives, Jiho's original warning was now required reading for all diplomatic staff. But it was no longer seen as a warning of danger, but as the first recognition of humanity's unique gift to the galaxy, the ability to see beyond limitations and imagine new possibilities. As the last light of the day faded from the council chamber, Haynul and Jiho stood together, watching the stars. "What do you think we'll achieve next?" she asked him. The elder's eyes brightened with anticipation. "With humanity joining us, anything is possible. You've taught us that the unknown isn't something to fear, but something to explore and understand. That might be your greatest gift to us all." The galaxy had changed, and at its heart was a species that had gone from being dismissed as primitive to being recognized as visionaries. Humanity had earned its place among the stars not through conquest or technological superiority, but through their unique ability to adapt, innovate, and imagine possibilities that others had never dreamed of. The chronicle of humanity's rise would be told for generations to come, not as a story of war, but as a testament to the power of potential and the importance of seeing beyond surface appearances. The galaxy had learned its lesson, and the stars themselves seemed to shine brighter for it.